All right, I guess we can start. So, welcome everyone to the Antwerp Young Minds workshop on vector graphics. Um, just tradition requires me to tell you a bit about the Antwerp Young Minds, but I'll keep it short. So basically, we are just a bunch of PhD volunteers who organize activities for students and staff, mostly tailored to, let's say, the physics department, but sometimes the activities might be interesting enough for the other departments, and then we can extend our invitations to the other people as well. A few examples of things that we organize, yeah, workshops like this one, or we invite other people. We had like a quantum computing workshop some time ago. We also have lectures, colloquia, so people speaking about some subjects. We try to organize a visit to some research and development sites every year. And this year we went to Jülich, the research institute there. They're researching fusion, nuclear fusion. We also have some work on quantum computers and so on. But yeah, and traditionally with like every lecture or workshop, we also have like a free reception to help you guys network a bit more with the professors and your colleagues as well. Over there, you have some brief overview of the activities that we did this year mostly. It was in a team of quantum mechanics because of the 100th I forgot the words. Yeah, 100 years of quantum mechanics. Yeah, let's say 100 years since the Schrödinger equation in 1926. I think. And a bit more about our organization itself. We have some structure. So there's a president, which is Thomas, in the back. There's a vice president, there's a treasurer, that's me, and then the secretary, community manager, and so on. And then the people without a specific role, they are board members, but they just help out with other parts of our activities. And so if you're a PhD student, we're always looking for volunteers. Especially since next year, a few of us will be dropping out as our PhDs are ending. So if you're interested in joining, feel free to do so. We can get DOCA points by organizing scientific activities. And also, it's a good experience to get the hang of it, what it takes to organize stuff, and so on. And then, yeah, you saw it before, but this is our calendar for this semester. So we have the vector graphics workshop, which is happening right now. There will be in April 23rd the alumni evening. We've made a careful selection of a few interesting speakers. We are waiting for some final confirmations. But the basic idea is that several people come talk about their experience after graduating from the university and what their experiences in the work field is. And then in 13th May, we have a departmental colloquium with Professor Steven Kaluwaert from the University of Ghent and related to the Meteorological Institute. We will come and talk about climate models and weather modeling. So yeah, if you want to follow us, you can do it through these QR codes or just on our website, youngminds.uantwerp.be. And that's it. Then for the workshop now, like the announcement said, it will be of two parts. First part, TikZ and PGFplots, which will be given by Matthew. And then afterwards, there will be like a bit more lighter section, let's say, on Inkscape, and how you can use that to make some graphical designs. Yeah, I give the word to you, Matthew.
Thank you. I should start with a question. There is a link to an overleaf document or set of documents that you will need to follow along. I don't know if you've already received it or not.
You can find it on our site, youngminds.uantwerp.be. You can maybe go to the site.
Yeah. And if not, here's a low-tech solution. Try this. But yeah, I didn't. So where is it? What is the site?
Youngminds.uantwerp.be.
All right, that is shorter than this. So.
And then you go to there's like a tab for events, I think, and then you get like a view of the, wait, maybe I can just go on the browser.
Yeah. And then the overleaf document is read-only. You're supposed to make a copy so that you can work on it yourself. So we don't all work in the same documents. That would be a little bit chaotic.
So youngminds.antwerp.be. Oh. I think
in front of it, maybe.
No, it shouldn't. So yeah, you have to.
Mouse.
And then you go to activities, and you have the vector graphics workshop, and then you scroll down. And there you have this link, the files needed for this workshop. You will get into overleaf, and then you can click on file, make a copy, and it will, if you have an overleaf account at least, it will be opened in there. Otherwise, you can download it to your computer and edit it in your tech editor. Okay, you can go back to it.
Yeah, let me know when everyone has it, or I will continue, and then if you don't have it, then please scream.
Is there anyone who like actually stuck or something like that? I have a feeling I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now. Okay.
Use a local editor. Do we need any extra packages from TikZ? You need this.
Yeah, TikZ and PGFplots are the two that you need, I think. Yeah, you can do everything I showed you. You can do it locally as well. You can work in overleaf directly. Both would work.
Is there a system microphone?
Hopefully, at least. I didn't make everything locally, so I sure hope it works in overleaf.
Worst case, audio.
Does everyone have it? Anyone who doesn't have it? No. Okay, let's start then. Okay, so this is a workshop about vector graphics. I will give the first part about TikZ and PGFplots, then later Jago will give the part about Inkscape. But in general, do you know what vector graphics are? Like, who here doesn't know what vector graphics are yet? Okay. So anyone else who does know it, can you explain what vector graphics are? Does anyone want to explain, or what you think they are?
But I don't want to spoil my part later. So.
Anyone? Yeah.
I can try. So, as far as I understand it, so usually when you have like a PNG or a JPEG image, then you have the individual pixels in the image. So if you zoom in, it will always be pixelated. But with vector graphics, you have some precise positions, and then the lines are basically like perfect lines and not pixels.
Yes, and so this is essentially also how they are stored in the file themselves. So if you have a PNG file or a JPEG file, it will store the value, like the red, green, and blue value of every single pixel. It has some compression algorithm, but it still works like pixel for pixel. Vector graphics work in a fundamentally different way. The way that it's stored in an SPG or PDF file, for example, is, for example, if you have something like this, it says draw this circle centered on this coordinate and draw a line from here to here and draw a line from here to here and so on. And because it's stored that way, you can also zoom in really, really far. For example, this is a zoom in that I did and screenshotted it. But this is directly from this picture. You can see how this is very, very sharp. And on top of that, it usually has a very low file size as well, because you don't have to store all the white pixels, for example, stuff like that. So this is why they usually look very, very nice for if you want to make presentations or like publication quality graphics. Vector graphics are usually a way to do that. Now, I will be talking about TikZ. TikZ is essentially a LaTeX, like a LaTeX part, it's a LaTeX package where you make vector graphics by actually typing in all the commands for draw a line from here to here, draw a circle here. So this is a way to make these graphics using code. If you're looking for more like an image editor, or something where you can actually draw shapes, similar to like Photoshop or GIMP or Paint, then Inkscape might be more for you, and this would be in part 2. But this part would be about writing it using code. And to highlight, like I really like this quote from the developer of the TikZ package. It says, "With TikZ, you get all the advantages of tech approach to typesetting," and lists all the advantages, and then goes on to say, "You also inherit all the disadvantages. In particularly, steep learning curve is no joke. This is rather hard to learn, but once you do learn it, it is very, very powerful, and you can do a lot of stuff with it." This also means that the best way to learn TikZ is to actually use it and start making your own graphics, which is why you're here in this workshop. Like, this will be a hands-on workshop with several assignments every now and then, where you will make your own graphics. When you are stuck on something after this workshop, I recommend this link over here, very short link. But this is a link to the manual, and I think about 9 in-depth tutorials that show you a whole bunch of the commands. The manual itself is very long, but also starts with these tutorials. I don't think I've ever read a part of the manual other than the tutorials, and it's been enough to make graphics like this. I will say this graphic has become a bit of a meme in our group, but sure enough, like this is something that I did make with TikZ, and this is the kind of thing that it really helps for this kind of image that you can say, oh, this atom is at this point at each point. In any case, this is not what you have to make. The first part of this workshop will be about, like, I will ask you to make this graphic. And most of the graphics I will show are things that I have either made or used at some point for my thesis or my publications. This is a diagram that's in my thesis. It's an image of the so-called Van Migdal diagram. You don't need to know what that is. What you need to know is, how do you actually draw this image? And this is what I will ask of you in the first 2 assignments. But let's start simple, like how do you actually just draw like a line, for example. And for this, in your overleaf document, there should be a file called main.tech. This is one where you can follow along if you want. This is just for writing quick bits of code, such as this. This is the absolute basic TikZ code, which would do something. So this is written in LaTeX language. Is everyone familiar with LaTeX language? Okay, good. I was hoping so. But yeah, I think the line I had in the LaTeX document was this one, which draws the circle. In any case, the things you need is to import the TikZ package. This is important, otherwise none of the TikZ commands will work. And usually for LaTeX documents, you use documents class article or something like this for like getting an A4 package for A4 papers. For TikZ graphics, it's useful to use standalone instead. This means it imports with just the image and nothing else, like no borders around it or anything like that. So if you do it like that, the exported file will be like a PDF, which you can then embed in other things. And then yeah, you need begin document and end document as usual, and you need some kind of begin TikZ picture and end TikZ picture environment. This is where you will draw all your images. And then from there, really TikZ is just like you list a lot of commands that say like I want to draw from here to here. Now each of these 3 things are things that I've drawn here on the top right image. This is the output of that code. And you might be able to see roughly how this code works given the output, right? Like for example, one of these lines draws the bottom line. Which line do you think that is? Which of the 3 lines draws the bottom line? Yeah.
The bottom.
Sorry.
The top.
Yeah, the top line is the one that draws this bottom line over here. So you set a line width, but then this double line over here means draw a full line, or like draw a line from one coordinate to another. In this case, yeah, you will have to work with coordinates. The origin doesn't really matter, but yeah, you set it to 0, 0, and you draw a line to something that's 2 centimeters to the right of it. The second line over here, it draws a dashed line, and you set it to thicker. Just you can do this. You have to draw a dashed line. In this case, it goes from 0, 2, so it's a higher point to the right point. To get acquainted with this, maybe you can try to type this line explicitly and see if this is also the output you get in this main.txt file that you have. This is like the first small exercise. If you get any errors, then please let me know.
Ik denk dat er nog een ander bestand is. Name.txt of zo. Ja, nee. Oei. Wacht, ik doe mijn microfoon.
Start seeing some happy people. It worked for some people already?
Yes.
Yeah. Here. So it's not saying
Ja, dat is wel zo. Nee, wacht even. Het komt natuurlijk wel.
Mijn microfoon staat open normaal.
Nee, zo. Wat heb je gehad aan de presentatie?
Okay. Okay. Does everyone have a line, a dashed line, and a circle in the middle? Most people do.
Ja. Yes.
I'll wait about 30 more seconds.
That's actually
Yeah.
It means that here automatic background is transparent or white.
Yes, it's transparent.
epic. Oh.
There might be a command to make it like fill it with some color. I'm not aware of it. If I need a non-transparent background, I usually just draw a white rectangle behind it.
Yeah, I think that PDF uses a white background by default.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just check.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like the background of my presentation is just not white. It's like very, very light blue. But this means that everything I draw in this automatically like fits nicely in the presentation because it has a transparent background. Okay, everyone has this now, hopefully. So yeah, if we're going to want to draw things like this, we're going to have to work with coordinates. So one thing I skipped very briefly was if we're going to want to draw this image, we're going to have to like at first plan out a bit like what are going to be the coordinates for the major points here. And so, for example, here we can choose this as the origin. We're going to need a circle at 1, 0, another circle at 4, 0, and then draw lines from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. But then also draw this curved line. So the straight lines you would be able to do, and the circles you would be able to do for now. But we also still need the curved line. And for this, TikZ uses a Bezier curve. These are all over computer graphics, but I'm not sure how widely known they are. Who here is familiar with Bezier curves? Should be. Yeah, okay. 3 very careful maybes. Fair enough. I also definitely don't know all the details, but this is basically how a lot of computer graphics programs will draw curved lines. And it's fairly intuitive in the sense that it works with 4, like the curve is defined using 4 points, known as the control points. And the curve always starts at the first control point and ends at the last control point. And you have this kind of cubic curve that goes from one to the other, but the other control points kind of pull the curve towards them. You see here, this tangent line points towards P1, and the curve is pulled towards this top left control point, and also towards this top right control point. And also here, the tangent line points directly at this second control point. So to draw these kinds of curved, these kinds of Bezier curves, you would have to define 4 control points, and then you can draw this curved line. Yeah, you can draw it, don't worry. Maybe someone can send you the overleaf document. Okay. Now, also in TikZ, there is a way to draw these Bezier curves. And it works with earlier we had to use dash dash to draw solid lines. The Bezier curves use with this, or you can draw these with this kind of double dot operator. In this case, you have to draw and then define your first point, your last point over here. You have dot dot, and then controls the first control point and the second control point, and dot dot, and then the third control point. This is how you would draw these kinds of Bezier curves in Lavik. If I do it with these control points, I get this curve rather similar to what I've drawn here. Okay. For these Bezier curves specifically, I also like using relative coordinates. You don't have to do this, but I usually get in the habit pretty quickly of doing this. If you put a plus in front of your coordinate, it means it's always relative to the previous coordinate you've defined, or like the most relevant coordinate in this case. In this case, for the Bezier curves, this one would be relative to your first coordinate, and this one would be relative to your last coordinate. So if you prefer using relative coordinates, you can use this plus operator. Okay, and then I think it's ready for one more thing. The concept of scopes. So very often you want to draw many different lines which roughly have the same style. For example, if I want 3 dashed lines with the same line width, I could write it out completely every time. But there's also a concept called a scope. You can use the command begin scope and end scope, and between these square brackets, you can write like modifiers that you want to apply to each of the lines below, like each of the lines within that scope. Then you only have to write it once, and you don't have to type it out every time. Again, this is optional, but it can make the code a bit easier to read. Okay, and then I think yes, now it's your turn. Given what we've learned so far, so drawing lines, drawing circles, drawing curved lines, like with Bezier curves, and with this kind of scope, I want you to try to draw this bottom left figure. This is going to be like the skeleton of our diagram on the bottom right. But this so far, you should be able to draw this given what we know. So this is, and yeah, I've labeled all the coordinates you need on this bottom right figure. So you need a line from 0, 0 to 1, 0, from 1, 0 to 4, 0, and from 4, 0 to 5, 0. And then this Bezier curve is defined by these 4 control points, 1, 0, 1, 1, 4, 1, and 4, 0. Those would be the control points that you need. And then you also need to draw 2 circles. I'll give you some time for this. This is your first TikZ experience, so it might take some time. I think maybe about 15 minutes should be all right. Hopefully. But yeah, I'll walk around a bit and make sure that everyone is everyone's fine with it. Sorry, I didn't mention yet. There's in the overleaf document, there should be a folder called assignment 1, and in assignment 1 there is a file called diagramskeleton.tech. That like has some starting things in it, and then you only have to add the code for the lines essentially.
Ja, om bij de assignment in dat ik ja daar. Ja, sim. Não, tem aqui que coloca em breve.
Of course, if you have any questions, just ask me.
Ik heb ook van iets gekend. Like niet zeker dat een box.
Yeah. We want to do something. I'm actually not sure about
Scope is on dingen en die afficheren. Ik zei dit zo, like je scope.
Ja, maar dat is niet relevant voor dat we
Ja, er is nog niet zo'n repetition dat we
I think maybe if you add the arrows, it's easier to have.
There will be.
was interessant. Inderdaad. Wel, wat doe je nu?
I hope you can read it.
Ik denk dat het los op kan maken. Dat nu gaat alle dingen al verslijden. Dat is als ik het staat voor
Ik denk dat ik zoiets heb gevonden waar ik het staat in
Maar daar kan je gebruiken om die om de lijn te tekenen. Ja, dat is in geval in de lijn dat je zo bent.
Ik denk aspects en niet.
Points,
Even voel ik al klikken bij elkaar. Dat is graag. Het enige is met een scope kan je en doe je zo
die lijntje dat ik aan het
kun je het punten aanpassen daarvoor.
als dat wordt gevraagd, is dat helemaal.
Dus dat, ja, want het is hij laat zo drie lijnen op verschillende punten gaan. Dus je kunt dat wel werken. Want
Expliciet
voor
bij
je
de
tweede
cirkel
kun je een scope gebruiken.
Let me dan eens een ding, voor de punten.
Ja, voor je drie lijnen. Hoe begin je? Begin. Als je begint, als je begint.
Ja, ik heb ook een conservatiescope staan.
Oh no. Ja, ik
rest doen.
naam.
Ja, als je met je hulp vragen.
En dan
En dan moet je gewoon dit.
Ja,
En dan heb je gewoon enkele coördinaten.
ook leuk een beetje hands-on.
Het enige dat ik niet weet, wat was het raw met haakjes bij je scope? Of was dat zonder niks? Was uw scope haakjes? Volk bij het scope, moet je haakjes bij het raw?
Zo mager ben ik niet.
Nou,
Ik zie dat heel mijn naam niet zo is.
Is het wacht, staat die?
oh, it's also not correct.
Ja, dat staat er dus. Ik kan gewoon eens kijken, hoe was het? Oké, geen haakjes, geen haakjes. Heb je de drie lijnen al gekeken? Want ik denk dat je drie lijnen moet tekenen voor verschillende punten. Het ene met rechts, maar een teken je ja, die links in de buiten.
Misschien moet veel aan.
Nee, de punten verdelen ermee. Ik weet niet waarom. Dat was het enige vraag. Waarom is er niet op één lijn? Waarschijnlijk heeft dat te maken met de pijltjes.
Coördinaten.
Dat je rechts pijltjes moet krijgen en dan
van controle.
die pijltjes dan
Ja, dat is wacht, ja, hier, maar dan denk ik nog. En
There's one thing that may cause some confusion. TikZ uses some code words which has spaces in them, which is very unusual for coding languages. So this line space width over here, that's one code word. This is not line and then another code word saying width equals 2pt. This code word line space width is one complete thing. And this will come up in a bunch of different things still.
dan nog misschien wat aanpassen.
dan die 1,1.
Dus check between your set properly. So the first one is first is relative to the first point, and the second one is relative to the second point.
No, it's relative to the last point.
Oh yeah, to the last point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, so we're confused about that.
Yeah.
Now.
In almost every case, it's actually relative to the last point you defined, but in the Bezier curves, it's relative to the last point.
But if the first one is relative to the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there situations where you have more than two points?
More than 2 control points, you mean, or more than 2 points in your?
Yeah, more than two control points.
I'm not sure. I haven't actually ever used it. But you could maybe try like adding like and this and then another one. I'm not sure what it will be. But I think these kinds of Bezier curves are very often they're cubic Bezier curves, and that it has 4 points, exactly 4 points. And maybe then you would have to chain another Bezier curve after it. Okay, yeah. Might have to just draw 2 Bezier curves in order.
In this case, then you also do like a thing where we kind of, oh, this one is just.
Ik denk dat je dat
Wat voor het commando was om iets te
This next to
You can. I'm not sure when I put that.
procent. Ja,
Exactly.
ik wil dat dan wordt
Exactly.
wegkomen.
I think I have some example on the slide somewhere, but I didn't want to include every one. But yeah, that does work, and then it will. You can also write.
Dat weet ik even niet.
Go from 1 point to 1 point to 1 point. Yeah.
Normaal gezien zou ik het weten, maar I'm not sure.
Ik heb een interessante vraag. Kun je eigenlijk, in die scope, is dat enkel voor de lijnen?
De cirkels zijn denk ik
Ik heb het eens geprobeerd om het zonder te doen, zonder die dingen, maar dan in de scope met veel black. En dan vult hem die niet.
Zie je wat ik heb gekregen.
Oké. Ik vraag me af of dat enkel voor de lijnen is. Dat
Zou kunnen. Ik gebruik nu niet zo heel veel scope. Heel vaak is het inderdaad wel gewoon. We testen het eens uit.
Ik weet waar ik afhoud heb gedaan.
Nee, ja.
Maar
Het is niet
ja,
0-0.
het zou wel kunnen dat
Ik
het
niet bij 0-0.
niet de hele tijd. Niet altijd.
Waarom is
Ik heb inderdaad al scalpen niet aan. Dat ziet er.
There's something else you can
Ziet er
solve.
goed uit. Je moet wat je kunt proberen is om hier relatief coördinaten van te maken, gewoon als extra oefening. Denk eraan dat de relatieve coördinaat van de eerste control point is relatief ten opzichte van de eerste coördinaat. En deze is ten opzichte van de laatste coördinaat. Het is niet ten opzichte van de
direct al aan, die heeft
een beetje
I'm not sure.
de lijn tussen 0 en 5-0.
Oh.
Je moet niet kijken daar, dat is gewoon het voorbeeld. Je moet kijken daar weg. Dat is de coördinaten extra, dat is gewoon
Ja.
Ik zie niet dat ik niet weet. Ah, jawel,
Waarom had ik zo?
Maar het was wel niet dik.
Yes. De commando zegt dat je krijgt of je tweede dat
Nee, ik weet het. Relatief is nog niet. Relatief is nog niet. Relatief is niet aan
Well, I mean, als je iets op niet 2,5, niet 1,5 zet en dan dit op 1,5 en 2,5 zet.
Maar dat wil soms niet. Soms wil ik voor rechtsboven. Maar toch niet aan het
Waarom ik niet bij relatief?
Je kiest sowieso een punt 0,0 als
Het ding is, als je de relatieve coördinaten neemt,
te definiëren.
dan is het
hij opspeelt. Hij wordt midden van de
plus
In 0, je begint bij 1.
niet bij 1 hoor. Dat is dat punt zetten op 1 en zitten tegen aan het
Dus eigenlijk moet je...
in dit geval...
Dat is wel echt beter. Eigenlijk is het misschien wel beter.
Waarschijnlijk wel, ja. Dat 0,0 is altijd linkshonder.
Dat is spijtig. Wel nee, dat is niet altijd linkshonder. Als je dan een punt min 1, 0 erbij zet, dan...
Ja, oké, maar dat is een vuil.
Nee, dat is exact wat je wil, denk ik.
En is er een nul?
Ik denk het wel dat dat is een Wikipedia checken.
Ik ben bijna zeker dat ik ooit op de leer was.
Oei, dat weet ik niet. Waarom? Mijn eerste?
Heb jij je punten gedaan? Heb je dat zo gedefinieerd of heb je dat wel een scope proberen?
Nee. Ja, ik kunt de scope gebruiken, dat is exact hetzelfde.
Ja, nee, dat is hetzelfde. Ik wil persoonlijk weten dat die scope eigenlijk weer iets van...
Zo, ik heb het eronder voor de lijnen wel gebruikt. Dus je weet algemeen wat het is, en dan zet je gewoon je cores in het. Maar het zijn de relative zelf.
Ik heb het gevoel als je ooit zo gebruikt en zo is niet veranderd. Dit gaat dat uiteindelijk klopt.
Is het relative als je dat dan...
Ik zou het dingen als ik op het gericht
We gaan even kijken, En dan zei ook zo van ja, hier als de pinker, dan zie je dat die lijnen wat gaan uitkomen. Maar ja, want het is een kill, wacht even. Hoe is het? Hij is 0,5 en dan de volgende keer 0,4.
Ja, moet er ook met rekenmachines zijn.
maar lang volgens mij, hij heeft zeer, bouwt voort op dit, maar dit en dit.
Ja, maar dan moet je zeggen, wie van het verder precies op deze. Maar dat, die bouwt ook niet verder op die. Ja, want je krijgt een... Ja, je krijgt toch niet dit. Want als dat verder gaat, dan zou je toch dit moeten krijgen. Op waar dat verder op... Dat verder op je blad. En dit bouwt op je eerste plek en dit op je laatste.
Oh, teken onder je.
Dan... Dus als dat begint, dat is dan...
Je kunt ook in een picture in ja, zelf niet wist.
En wat ik
You don't have to.
Nadeel is dat als je iets in je document verandert, moet je ook al heel veel figuurtjes kopen.
Ik heb het ook gepakt.
Dus voor gemakkelijk figuur nog niet
Ik vind denk ik
zijn, maar als je
Ik had het op gebruiken.
file te maken.
Probeer
Ik er niet mee, dan wil ik externe files maken en daarop
Dat denk ik over geen
Nu gaan we ontdekken hoe je de file doet voordat die is. Gaan we daarop.
Ik ben wel curieus, maar ik weet wel, ik zou doen met een scope. Ik weet niet helemaal meer.
Wel, de scope, wat er tussen de haken, doe je bij de scope. En de rest
maar je zit niet aan dan in de
dus ik nu, ik ken de hardste hier.
ik weet niet hoor.
Nee, ik denk dat aan
Veel gelaagd.
Mijn stiftel is wel raar. Mijn stiftel, ik weet niet of ik het kan schoon.
De volgende bestuursgekomen.
Ja.
Ik gewoon twee stiftels erop.
Dat is voor je lijn, ja. Dat is voor mijn lijn. Had je voor in je lijn getrokken.
So it's been successful so far?
Yeah.
Okay, that have to be. Alright, do you want a bit more time or should we continue already? Yeah, I'll give about 2 more minutes. Is that okay?
Dan iets gaan doen.
Ik weet niet hoe dat scope werkt met cirkels.
Ja, ik heb die vraag daarnet ook gekregen. En blijkbaar werkt het inderdaad niet met veel black voor die cirkel. Ik weet niet waarom. Ik gebruik eigenlijk niet zo heel vaak scopes.
Dus ik weet niet waarom dat is.
Omdat je cirkeldeel naar je dingen komt, naar je...
Misschien wel, misschien is veel een van de modifiers dat niet door scope herkend wordt.
Ja.
Ik weet het niet goed. Ja, die heb ik moeten toegeven dat ik het niet weet. Zou kunnen. Maar ja, ja. Again, het antwoord ik weet het niet gaat misschien nog redelijk vaak opkomen vandaag. Ik had misschien expliciet moeten zeggen dat ik geen TikZ-expert ben.
Met in een van de programmeren al waarschijnlijk Python-modules die code genereren? Of van andere?
Er is... Ik ga zoiets een slide laten zien voor PGFplots dingen te genereren. Er is MATLAB TikZ en Mathematica TikZ, maar dat heb ik nog nooit geprobeerd. En er was vroeger Matplotlib TikZ, maar dat wordt niet meer ondersteund. De developer is... de developer is gestopt en dat brengt ook niet meer ondersteund, ja. Je kunt je data exporteren en dan in PGFplots laten steken. Maar enfin, dat komen we straks ook toe. Sowieso, je kunt dan altijd wel die kunnen exporteren als PDF of als vectorgraphic, sowieso al. Maar misschien inderdaad zijn er ook externe tools. Waarschijnlijk wel, maar ik ben er niet bewust van. Okay, everyone ready? Mostly ready? Did any of you get this? This is how you draw it. So, like, I will also say that now I feel safe saying it. The solution is in the examples folder. There's a folder solution which has the solutions for today. But I do urge you to try it out for yourself first, because you learn a lot more that way. If you do find, if you do struggle too much, you could look there, and this would be the solution for this. So again, you define your TikZ picture environment. In this case, yeah, you draw two circles, one at the coordinate 1, 0, one at the coordinate 4, 0. You draw 3 lines from 0, 0 to 1, 0, 1, 0 to 4, 0, 4, 0 to 5, 0. And then this Bezier curve at the control points like this. You could write 1, 1 and 4, 1 here as well. I've done it here with relative coordinates. And yeah, I have seen a lot of confusion. This relative coordinate is defined with respect to the first point. But this one is with respect to the last point. So I know. But so in this case, it was both, yeah, 1 unit up, like +1 to the y coordinate in both cases. Everyone more or less get this? Does everyone understand this as well? That's maybe a more difficult question. But yeah, okay. Now when we know the basics, let's crank up the difficulty, sadly. Because there is actually, like when you're drawing diagrams like this, there is a concept that helps a bit, which is the concept of nodes. And, you know, just like nodes in a graph, you'll be able to like define nodes at a certain coordinate and then connect them later via lines. This is actually a slightly nicer way to draw diagrams like this. It also supports using like putting text inside them. And like if you want to have text in your TikZ file, you're going to have to do it via some kind of node. In this case, you know, use the basic command to draw this node over here. So in this case, I want it to be, you have \node, and between the square brackets, again, you want to specify what it looks like. In this case, circle to make it circle shaped. Draw is the outline, it's like the color of the outline, for example, and then fill would be the fill color. In this case, like a light green. I want to say where it's at. So like in this case, I just chose 0, 0. And then the thing between the braces here is the text that will be inside it. In this case, I just chose the letter A. This bit here is optional, but can be quite useful. You can give your node a name, so you can refer to it later on. In this case, I called it node A, and you have to put it between brackets. That's not the only thing you can do. You can, oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So the coordinates refers to the center of the circle.
In this case, it's the center of the circle, yes. I'm pretty sure it's the center of the circle. This might vary from shape to shape. I'm not entirely sure, but for this circle and this rectangle, I'm pretty sure it's the center. There's different shapes of nodes as well. Like I can have a rectangle. You can put any text in here. I can put an equation in here, like a simple equation, and the node will then expand to fit the equation inside it or fit the text inside it. In this case, I called it node B. I put it like a bit to the right. And the nice thing is, once you have names for these kinds of nodes, you can refer to their coordinates later on. This is like known as their anchors. So for example, if I now want to draw a line relative to the position of those nodes, I can do it like this. I can draw a line with some color from, and I call it node A dot center. That would be the coordinate of the center of this node A. And I can draw a line to node A dot north. That would be the top of this node. And then towards node B dot west, which would be the left side of the other node. Note also here, I've chained these lines together. This is also something you can do. You can draw from one coordinate to another coordinate and then immediately to another coordinate. This will draw two lines. Is that more or less clear what I'm saying here? So most of TikZ graphics will consist of these nodes and then paths, which is what this bottom thing is. This would be like drawing lines or circles anywhere. And then immediately we're ready for assignment 2, actually. So you've already drawn the skeleton, but I'd like you to rewrite it a little bit in terms of nodes. Now I started to write the code for this diagram, which is it's something I need for my thesis, but then I got lazy. I remembered that this workshop exists, so I thought maybe you could make it for me. And you can find this file under assignment 2. And I would like you to please complete the codes in order to draw this diagram over here. Currently, it only draws this bottom left part with some examples. And you can recall all the commands that we've learned so far to try to draw this. There's also some extra information in those files. I've already included the code to draw arrows on these lines. This is something you don't have to change, although you can change to experiment with it if you want. And then also adding text below lines. This also happens with nodes. But yeah, again, there is an example in the file funmetaldiagram.txt. Best of luck. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. So we're looking for the bottom left figure. This would be the polished product. And again, if you need any reminders for the coordinates, they're on the bottom right here.
En als je compiles en niets verandert, heb je dit dan?
Ja, ik had een andere.
Wacht, bij assignment 2.
Ja, bij de assignment. Ja, nee, bij de assignment.
Beginnen, maar what the fuck is a backslash?
Ah, maar je bent niet bij de assignment.
Nee, ik ben gewoon van eigen. Ik geef het gewoon een klik op dat rapport.
Ah ja.
Dat zit er op de load.
Ja. Misschien een wiki.
PGFplots en TikZ.
Oké.
En dingen is er decoration markings en smaak. Want ik denk dat Node te veel is van TikZ.
Maar de dingen staan vast of we kunnen nog aanpassen naar eigen shortcuts.
Dat zijn de Mac shortcuts, denk ik, ja. Maar zou we kunnen aanpassen.
De scope environment, zo de kleine scope.
Dat is nu de tweede opdracht al dat ik heb geopend. Dus die ook gaan beschrijven met gebruikende nodes. De syntax. Dus je zegt ja, eerst de eigenschap van de node en dan zeg je dan op welke coördinaat. Want dan ziet men, kun je er iets aan input meegeven. Dus daar staat nu de letter A, maar je kunt ook K of zo geven. En dan kun je terug naar je nodes refereren met de naam dat je die geeft. Eigenlijk hetzelfde als hierboven. Ik kan nu de volgende inspreken. Dan moet je dat ergens inzetten.
Ja, maar hij zet dat wel in de scope, maar hij zet alles in de
scope. En de naam ook.
Want je moet je line with, hij zet alles in.
Dat is een node.
Dat zou het verstaan.
Dat zegt ook gewoon dat de conversie is mogelijk.
Nog een van deze.
En jij bent een begin tekstpicture. Dit is een tekstpicture.
Sorry.
Of kunt je er zo zeggen van draw a line, zoals daar staat, draw node A center, dash node A node, dan doen we nu node,
so this is for
de tweede, eerste cirkel naar de
Dat zal een node 3 zijn.
Je zei een text picture vergeten, denk ik. Ik heb dat buiten uw text picture gedefinieerd.
Oh ja, dat is
dan dash daar.
Dat is inderdaad
Eerste error van de dag, maar zeker niet de laatste.
Ik hoop dat niet.
Het is zo fout. Nee, maar zo tekst beginnen leren, dat komt heel snel met die syntax echt gewoon worden.
Alright, en dan kunnen we daar nog een decoration bij doen, zeker.
Oh, wait.
Dan misschien in de scope. Begin scope.
Alright, dat is goed.
Is goed.
Ik teken dat pijltje.
Maar zitten we nog in de scope?
Net de
Ja, oké, ik heb
scope
dat
hier.
gehoord.
Ja, de scope.
Dat is op
Maar wacht,
dat is
denk
close section decorate.
En dan
begin. Dan gewoon een scope. En dan node.
Yeah.
Moeten we daar nog een beetje
Segment.
alle nodes zijn limits, dan moet je also
ja.
Ik vind het klopt gewoon nu, je kent met dat zo een arrow, uw lines, zo.
Definieert die zwarte cirkel hier dan over
Ja, vers 1.
Yes. Oh, dat is
niet helemaal wat ik hier notes zie je niet helemaal wat die notes
die maakt onder elke lijn een node. Bij de nodes zijn
I see some people trying to create this figure on the right, including the like red pieces. You don't have to add the red points. That was just a visual guide from me. You don't have to add these like 0, 0, 1, 0 labels and stuff like that. The aim is to draw the thing on the left side. Although
you don't have to draw like a rainbow colored unicorn.
no, like if you want to draw the right side, it is more difficult. So you can bonus points if you get it. But the aim was to draw the thing on the left. That's sufficient.
Yeah, I'll give about 5 more minutes. That's okay.
Ook een apart package een iets efficiëntere syntax.
Ja, ik heb dat ook eens geprobeerd en dat werkt niet altijd even goed. Maar inderdaad, dat werkt veel sneller. Maar ik heb daar wel wat problemen mee ondervonden en dan ben ik ook naar TikZ gegaan, denk ik. Maar misschien dat dat nu al beter is gemaakt. Dat denk ik.
Ja, package op 80 ook gewoon niks gebruikt.
Geil ervaring?
Ik heb al een beetje.
Oké, ja.
We hebben een vast.
Je hebt niet gelijk gecheat en de oplossing gaan
Nee, ik heb ook nog eens een vast.
You just have to add the dash 5. Dus
Maar het steekt wel.
Maar dat is hier dat je een van de advanced examples kunt maken.
it's fine to read
Ik denk niet dat ik nee maar beneden moet stoten of zo. Ja, zo dat deze zo. Kun je eens proberen te maken als je wilt.
En dan klik op daar.
Dat is PGFplots, ja. Welke? Oké, voilà. Oké, is er een dat je... Ja, maar dat moet ik wel.
Flowchart, nice.
Heb ik in mijn project aanvraag gezet. Ja, dat is gewoon een bundle surf. De service model maken. Dat moet lukken, hè? Right, daar ken ik dus niet over.
Nou, ik wil dat als je dingen van Facebook.
Ik ga eerst nog wat koffie drinken. Ja, dat is toch.
Is dat wat lukken?
Ja,
Ik wil
ja,
ook
maar
niet
heel
zo
dat
met
je
het land. Maar jullie.
Dat is eigenlijk geen simpel grafiekje wilt hebben dat je gewoon iets toont. Zonder dat je elke keer je gecorrigeerde grafiek moet terugvoeren.
En als je dan post-action equals depth rates, dan krijg je met spel in de richtingen. Ja, dit wel gaat spel in 4 staps. En van de eerste coördinaat naar de laatste coördinaat. Dus als je...
Ja, ik deed mijn uurtjes doen met Simple Paint. En dan sommige dingen zo in, ik denk, zo elektrische
dat er hier nodig ja, die tekst is nu gewoon wat je wat differentievlakken zo.
Inderdaad.
Als
Als je zo snel iets uit wilt halen, dan is het makkelijker om...
Beter dat het automatisch
Precies, ik zie niet wat dat het mis is. Ja. De eerste lijn is gewoon een plak met je naar B, naar C, van C naar
als je heel advanced bent, dan kun je alles met functies doen en zover. En dat is ook wel nice.
Maar je hebt hier node E hergedefinieerd, dat is het probleem. Oké, ja.
Ik vermoed die
figuur
bijvoorbeeld met...
nee, ik ga dan gewoon zeggen, node E, ik ga nu dus van die naam node E nemen. En de
functies gedaan. En die tangentiële curves te tekenen, die lijnen, zodat je dat niet moet tekenen waar dat eigenlijk de punten zijn.
Ik ben altijd op
Waar is het probleem?
Gewoon een beetje opzicht gedaan.
We nog nodig 3 PGF operations.
Hoe is dat?
Going to ignore it. I don't know the key.
Should I give a bit more time? Maybe like 5 more minutes?
Ja.
5 more minutes again? Okay.
Daar zit je al regels is dat
I'm coming in a moment.
Ik kopieer dat.
Ik heb ook zo het gevoel, hoe minder ik moet programmeren in laat liggen,
Ik krijg wel gewoon de uitmelding met...
dat is niet nog een keer.
Je hebt geen extra, er stond een extra package gedefinieerd in dat formaat.
Wel heel handig dat
Declaration
iets
of
hebt dat
marking.
codeerbaar is. Automatisch.
En AMS maat ook.
Als je presentaties heel
Ja,
makkelijk
het was,
update.
het was inderdaad, het was mijn bedoeling dat je in die file zou verder werken. Maar ik snap inderdaad de verwarring.
Ja, dat heb ik dus wel in.
Ik weet, ik heb het van mijn mastertjes en daar heb ik mee geëxperimenteerd, maar je hebt zo'n package om Python in je latig code te laten draaien. Een speciaal environment. Om daar gewoon echt pure Python code te schrijven en dan gecompileerd wordt dat uitgevoerd en doet alles wat het moet. Het is zo leuk om ermee te spelen, maar ik gewoon al...
Ik ben blij dat iedereen steken.
Maar gelukkig. Nee, het is nu dat is nu aan. Direct snap aan de nodig.
Dat is gewoon een voorwerp. En maar. Dat kan vervinden dan. En uw tekst moet ook genoemd zijn.
Ja, ik was wel dat je objecten aan elkaar kunt koppelen, dat je dan niet moet...
Aha. Nodes zijn die objecten en draw is eigenlijk die vertekend.
Ja, ik snap het. Dat had 0, en dan is er 0.
Dat brengt je.
Hoe dat dan niet is? Goeie verhaal. Ik ken je stukje. Dus als ik dan... Ja, ik niet wat
No, so this post action is decorate. That is the thing that puts the arrow in. So within this,
No.
should be a second arrow.
Line width
and
decoration.
Find what your decoration is, and then with this post action,
And then
you
I
decorate.
think
You
so.
say like, okay, what decorate is fine. And it looks at, okay, what's my decoration within this? So
Ah, that's what you know.
I didn't get into how that works. I thought it was like way too difficult to, I guess, way into like,
The reference that
Ik tekst op boven die tekst.
Dat refereert.
Je moet is gewoon de item. Ja, dan wel. Oh, het weet.
Waar is die note E dan? Dat is die laan.
nee, node E is een punt. Een visible point, node E is een invisible point. En dan heb je voor L, en dan is je tweede een node B, een node C, een node D.
Oké.
En dan teken je ertussen en onder uw lijn doe je dan een nieuwe node.
Ja, het is een migration, wat zal het?
Ah, voor.
Die node die heb ik gedaan.
Okay, I'm seeing some more or less correct graphics. I'm seeing some successes like and partial successes. For most people, I've seen like the correct definition of the nodes and then lines drawn correctly between those nodes. So I think it's time that we carry on. If you want, I think if you want, you can look in the solution, like in the examples solutions. You can find the solution to this, and maybe I'll give you a minute to look at this, if you want, and then I'll move on with the next part. So we still have enough time for Inkscape as well.
Nee, dat is dat is ook goed. Weet je dat ik nou wel delen?
Now I see how much work there's in this, but I see there's some things in it.
Once you have some basics, you can always copy paste it. So then it's a huge mess with the keys, you don't have to write it all down.
That is exactly how I work. Okay, everyone all right? It's in a moment I'll move on to PGFplots. But I will already say, like, this basic knowledge, like if you just chain it together and like put an hour or two of work into it, this does allow you to make already like some very nice looking graphs. Like these two graphs are like, this is from a publication of mine and this is from a project application which I've submitted. You should have all the information to make stuff like this now. So already you know a lot. Already you know a lot about what TikZ is and how it works. It will just take a lot of time to then make this. If you want to see the code, this is also in the examples folder, like in examples advanced. You can find the code for this if you're ever interested in it. Also for the right picture, I think. Well, that was called project flowcharts.tech, I think. But yeah, it's also in there. Okay, and I think we're ready for PGFplots. So the previous part was TikZ to draw diagrams and stuff like this. PGFplots is very similar. I think it also uses TikZ, but it is used to draw graphs and like functions and stuff like this. So this is also something you can use for your publications. Now it's also a package. It's a separate package, so we'll have to use package PGFplots in a moment. When I started with this, I used this MATLAB to TikZ a lot, and I think we briefly touched on it. So there are some tools that take in a MATLAB figure, for example, and translate it into PGFplots code, which you can then compile and stuff like that. Again, like this TikZplot for matplotlib, I think it's stopped. The development has stopped, so that's kind of sad. But regardless, like I won't need any of these. Like I'm just mentioning them because they're quite useful. But what I'm going to show you right now doesn't need any of these tools. What it does need is your data. So if you do some calculation and you have some data in a data file, you can use PGFplots to graph it. And again, I will start with a basic example. In a moment, I will let you work out your own, you'll be able to make your own graph. But let's start with the most basic example. I've again put the full code here. So again, we're going to want to make a standalone figure. And now we have to call use package PGFplots. This actually calls the TikZ package by itself, so we don't have to use package TikZ. We don't have to include that. And then, once again, we begin and end with a TikZ picture environment. But now, in order to draw the graph, well, to draw this graph, essentially the only thing we need is this. We need to define a set of axes to draw our graph on. And again, between the square brackets, there will be, you can put a lot of modifiers here. In this case, I just put in a title, but you can use it to change the X label, Y label, size of the labels, and thickness of the lines, and like, there will be a lot of code here in practice usually. But in this case, I'm going to skip over most of it. And then, this command here, @plot, is the thing that actually draws this line. In this case, I've used it to just draw the graph of this function, 1 over x squared plus 1. I've drawn it using these two modifiers. So domain 0 to 5, you can plot it from 0 to 5. And samples at, this does what you might expect. Like it will evaluate this function at like every single one of these samples and then connect them all using straight lines. This is how most like function graphing software works. So in this case, I put a sample of 0 and then 0.05, and then it will like linearly interpolate these two to go to the next one. So the next one will be 0.1, then 0.15, and so on until it gets to 5, and then it will stop. If I would want to start from 1, I would have to put 1 and then 1.05. This second thing is not the step size, unfortunately. Again, I didn't write this, but yeah, you can use this to define the samples that you want, and then you get this nice smooth looking graph. Usually, that's not what you like. This is nice to be able to plot functions like this, but very often you have some data that you want to plot, and that's also possible. So here I put in some commands to make this figure on the right here. This has, a smooth function. In this case, 1 minus square root of x, it's the black line. But then also 2 different ways to draw like actual data plots or data points, which might come from your calculation or your experiment. The simplest way really is to have them in an external file. In this case, for example, data file.dat. Those would be the blue points. I don't have the data file on the screen right now, but like it would read it's like a 2-column file with X data and then Y data. It will read in those points and then plot them on this graph. If you want, you can also define your own table, table like this. Define your own points with X coordinate and Y coordinate, and then it will plot those on the graph. Those are the 2 ways you can do it. If you use MATLAB to TikZ, it will generate this like big long table in your code. But if you have an external data file, you can also do it like this. There are ways to add a legend, but again, I will leave that to you to figure out because I think it's time for assignment number 3. So with this, like you can find this example as well in the same folder, which you're probably going to need. But once again, I started making a diagram which I need for my thesis, but then I got lazy, and once again, I'm asking you to finish it. So I need a graph of the Fröhlich-Polron energy, which again, you don't need to know what that is, but it's calculated using 4 different methods, and they all give a different result. There are 2 methods which give an analytical result. One of them is just the function minus x. The other one is this prefactor times x squared. There was a different method, but it takes, it's not super difficult to calculate. So there's a lot of data points, but it's not an analytical function. So this is data in an external data file, which is also in your folder. And then there's one final method, this diagrammatic Monte Carlo method. It's very accurate, but very expensive. So we only have 6 data points. So I would like you to put these all together in one nice graph, which then looks like this. You can find a bunch of the information in the examples folder, and yeah, basically, you can start from this file, polronenergy.tech, which is also in the assignments 3 folder. Basic example.tech is the code that generates this figure. It's complete code, so you can use that as your starting point and like copy and paste stuff from there. Best of luck. Yeah, is this a question for everyone, or should I come over?
What do you use to make the Feynman.dat file?
This is a I exported this from MATLAB back in the day. So I had a 2-column matrix in MATLAB, and I just used like the export function from MATLAB to make this file. Like, I'm pretty sure this can also be a TXT file or whichever file format you want. But
should it be like tab separated or comma separated, or do you not?
In this case, it's tab separated.
Okay.
I think it can be quite flexible, but I'm not entirely sure. As long as you don't do any like E separated things, or like where you use the character E to separate it, might not work. But
yeah, but then
any standard separator probably
do
works.
you use also like commas or any standard like CSP outputs?
Yeah, and like in this case, also the data file has a header. So the first line is like X and energy or something, or X and F of X.
Yeah.
It just ignores that in this case because it sees, oh, it's not numeric data.
Right.
There's probably ways to, like, if you look deeper in the PGFplots code, there's probably, you can like modify this, maybe like explicitly say, oh, it's my delimiter is a comma or is a tab or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but in this case, it should work with this data file.
Okay, nice.
Dat gewoon aanpassen naar x kwadraat.
Intercept, especially you would see that very large. Maybe you can try it.
Natuurlijk, vorige gewoon strijk, dus je kunt die minus verbergen naar min 0,108 naar x kwadraat.
Ja, ik wil even zoeken naar de functie, maar dat is inderdaad, dat is misschien dat.
Because there's no text in it, it's just rather small, but not like it's super small.
Zoiets.
Yeah. So that's like zero. So you need to so we see explanation. At least
Ik denk dat je misschien normaal
ik weet niet of dat daarin is. Correcte syntaxis.
and it will be very close to the edge.
of doet
Ik weet
geeft hem wel geen error.
Ja, ik denk eigenlijk misschien ik weet niet of dat zo moet. Nee. Het plot moet ik er natuurlijk nog voor zetten. Dat ben ik vergeten. Dan moeten we nog eens zien. Dus nog weer hier. Unknown operator.
Nou, doe eens dan sterste.
Ja, vanaf hier, dat gaat deze tijd van een workshop zijn. Ja, zo nog 2 minuten te zeggen of zo. Ja, zo na 3 kan een orgie op een trein. Ja, voor die plan, dat kunnen we een beetje inschatten van hoeveel tijd dat we kunnen geven. Als je zegt, je wilt om 5:30 terug beginnen, dan weet ik niet. Oké, laten we ons tegen 22 nou, zeg dat binnen 5 uur dan of zo.
Om 5:30 beginnen is het wel oké.
Oké, dus dan zou ik nog een 5 minuten geven. Dat is misschien wel wat weinig. Maar
kijk, ik ben ook misschien eerst over de tijd zijn gegaan. En ik ging dat van die los zijn gaan en mensen kunnen altijd wel denken wat ze willen.
Zo gewoon. Ja, ik ga gewoon zeggen binnen 5 minuten of zo.
Hoe doe je de wiskundige dingen van die functies?
Ja, dus dat is niet altijd super uniform, maar in dit geval is het gewoon iets.
Wacht, ik zie dat ik ben hier gewoon een spatie.
Dat zou niet mogen uitmaken, denk ik. Er is iets anders.
Ja.
En is dat echt het probleem? Als je dit doet?
En dat je al voor moet daar gewoon een spatie tussen of moet daar een maal tekenen?
Wel als ik dit doe.
Ik zie het. Ik heb mijn... of nee, wacht.
Dit werkt gewoon Wat? Dat gaat niet... Mijn spatie niet, of wat? Dat staat met de maal tussen, sorry.
Wacht,
Kijk, misschien wel
Nee, ik niet. Alright, maar. Maybe information for everyone because someone got stuck on this. If you want to type this, you have to put a multiplication sign in between the number and the x, and you have to put like a caret, like tot de macht, between the x and the 2. The type in this formula.
Just copy-pasted it from your comments, so it was
Yeah, see, that's how you were supposed to do it.
Sure.
You just copy-paste it from the solution, right?
But yeah, it says it underneath, yes. Yeah. You can see this.
In general, writing down these like kind of math expressions, you have to like, yeah, sometimes it's not at all clear which expression is being used. Sometimes it's with brackets, sometimes not. But
Oké. Gewoon het verkeerde format gevolgd.
Ja, dat is vandaag niet
Dat is moeilijk, hè.
ja, ik denk het was
Hoe gaan we dat doen?
Wat ook niet een voorbeeld van een soort van
basic example.
Functie.
Table.
Ja, wacht, dus dat is niet dat handmatig hier.
Hier, ja. Table.
Table basic data.
Output. Zoiets.
Hoe was jij gedaan?
Dus kijk, ik heb ik al een beetje
je kon denk ik die opties laten bij AdPlots, zoals zo daar staan en dan denk ik dat table basic data.
Dus dan doen we daar.
En dan denk ik voor dat ik vast op project.
Ja, ik weet van...
Moet je dat van cirkel bepalen, dan moet je een markt zetten. Misschien gewoon en dan.
Ja, die file moet natuurlijk op.
Ja.
Fix allemaal. Dan moeten we nog een 4 doen.
Ik is nu een volle set.
Oh, weet je
Het is wel, die wil dat je zo die datapunten inlaat.
Ja, gewoon nog wel inzetten. Moet je manueel invullen.
Oh ja.
Oké, dus dan heb je ook geen importeren.
Uw vierde wel importeren, maar uw vierde is gewoon. Uw derde kun je importeren, dus een documentje frame dat wij line maken.
Het is niet wel dat je die functie kunt ingeven als het niet is zo een functie ingeven om die functie voldoen is.
Voor welke?
Dat is bijvoorbeeld voor de landbouwbeker op de loopbaan.
Ja, dat kun je wel gewoon invoeren. Dat is het eerste voorbeeld. In de basic example. En dan gewoon in de main file je plot 1 dat is van die. De plot 2 is eigenlijk gewoon hetzelfde plot 1 maar een beetje aangepast. Gewoon de functie eigenlijk.
En now you want to remove the box.
Gewoon nu de is dit hier? Ja, hij heeft dat hier gemaakt.
Ja,
deze komt hier. Dingen
Omdat je eigenlijk in de
Dat kun je misschien al zien, de coördinaat waar dat de legenda is. En dan wel het punt van de richting is op dat punt. Zou het
Or maybe you can just show equals and then
Starting to see a lot of people get essentially the right result. Maybe like 2 more minutes.
Aha, nice. Oké, en alleen dan onze figuur, legende.
Er is ook zo online gelegd zodat alles links uitgelegd staat. Dat is ook een ding door.
Hij heeft nu nog lijntjes tussen die plots.
oh, you're just
Okay, that's over. Yeah. I mean, this is the best way to do it when it's not one of the examples that I prepared.
Misschien zeggen line with equal 0.
Yeah, there will be a lot of essentially you're gonna have to ask like, is it on Stack Exchange? No. Is it in the manual? No. Then you can ask me a question.
Hoe kun je zeggen wat de legende is?
Dus in basic example.tech staat een commando basically mee in begin access, like tussen die vierkante haakjes staat er een heleboel info over de legenda. Die kunt je, als je die kopieert en erin zet, dan zou het niet werken, maar je kunt er ook wat mee spelen.
Gewoon in Anchor alleen is dat ingesteken.
De anchor, dus apps definieert waar de legenda juist is en de anchor definieert welk punt van de legenda rechthoek is die coördinatie. In dit geval staat daar het southwest punt van de rechthoek moet op punt 0,03.
Gewoon zuidwest en kleine getallen pak je bij tegen het linksop.
In dit geval, ja. Dus in dit geval 0,03 is wat er hier op gebruikt. Dat kun je zelf pakken.
So if I put a line, whether I put it or not, there's no difference. So I put it equal to that. So it doesn't work. So it's okay, I managed to do it with the cell line. Which actually I put the lines.
Okay.
Maybe Legend cell line overrides the previous one?
No,
Not sure.
Vermoed.
Yeah, but at this point, like this is the kind of stuff that I also don't know, and I would have to look it up.
Nice. Oké, en dan moet ik alleen nog deze nog die lijntjes ertussen wegkrijgen.
Er is een, ja, environment economically, maar er is een examples advanced, volgens mij bij Inkscape. Examples. Okay.
Wij staan van die zee.
Is er een
Moeten hier ook een advanced follower.
ik zeg wel. Speaking compilate.
Nee, het is geposteerd. Ik ken het.
Dat is wel
Met sure dat het niet figuur van PGF is gewoon één grote text picture. Dus je kunt gewoon een node toevoegen, like gewoon /node, zoals we nu juist hebben gezien. En gewoon zeggen, op deze plaats wil ik een node met deze weg van deze figuur, whatever. Deze is volgens mij een nieuwe access. Wanneer we hier zeggen, begin access, end access, dat
domein is
hier een tweede set access, dus hier moet ik
X-ray.
Ja.
Uw X-ray.
Nou, oké, dan moet wel
Maar volgens mij kun je ook wel /node en zo doen.
Ja, we moeten eigenlijk wel even twee doen, want de andere importen dat.
Ja.
Als ik dat ene keer een grafiek niet heb gedefinieerd, dan is het gewoon wat op gedefinieerd en moet meer dan in die persoon zeggen.
Jawel, en de derde en de vierde gebruik ik niet domein bij mij. Enkel eerst en tweede gebruiken. Ja.
Oké.
Eerst en tweede gebruiken, omdat je een functie is.
Dingen aanpassen. De groene curve moet maar tot slash.
Kunnen dat achter?
Dat is iets dat wel gaat op dingen. 70%
Alle mogelijke.
Er zijn zeker ook manieren om gewoon NDB te neerzetten. We doen dat meestal van bovenaan het document. En dan zeg ik wel dat
Ja, ik kies ook niet eens voor maar volgende.
leggen die kleur naam en dan de naam color equals.
Je kunt dat gewoon kopiëren.
In dit geval,
Als ik voor
green betekent black is G-kleur of
Gewoon bij de polar on energy.
Mogelijke permutaties.
meestal op een eigen grafieken opvult wordt
Ja, maar deze is van de
ja,
is
Spatie.
Dat vlak vind ik dat makkelijk wel beter.
I'm seeing a lot of right answers at this point. I see a lot of people who have a good graph or a graph that's very close to this. But I think I will move on unless Jago will become mad at me for not leaving enough time for Inkscape.
It's fine. People enjoy things more than.
Yeah. See. Okay, so if you want to tinker with it a bit more, then you can also do it at home. But yeah, I will just flash up a couple of examples to finish. All of these examples are also in your like in these folders under advanced or basic. You can find a lot of these plots, but yeah, like essentially both of these plots have been made with PGFplots. This one went in my thesis, and this one went in one of my publications. And again, you know most of this now. To get from like here, it's the same data that you plotted as here. But there was a lot more info in the like begin access statement to get this X label, get this Y label, and so on. This is stuff that you can figure out on your own or copy and paste from the code of this figure. Because this is the best way to continue with it, is copy pasting other people's code. I will quickly, because this is going to be more like the end of this presentation, but I do want to show you two more things. There's a lot I couldn't say about this because this is an introduction, but if you do want to continue looking further into it, there's two commands that I do want to talk a bit about. One of them is for each. which allows you to do a for loop. So if you want to make a plot like this, you don't have to actually draw 80 of these circles. That would be a bit long. This entire code generates this image. So if you want to do something like this, the for each command exists for this. And then one final thing is also there's the animate package. This is not something I can go into a publication, but it's funny, so I will show you. There is an animate package, and if you put in this code, you will generate this this kind of moving figure, which is also how I made the animation at the start. And yeah, this kind of animation, like I would recommend doing some kind of exercise like this, maybe something related to your research, something that looks like this, because this is like an exercise that I did after a workshop a long time ago. I just do like train myself into using TikZ, and it turns out I've actually used it like 5 times after that, even though that was not the point. But yeah, you can learn a lot from doing an exercise like this. And yeah, with that, I'm done. If there's any questions, then I'm happy to answer them. But otherwise, we can take a break and move on to Inkscape. Yeah.
Did you actually calculate the correct displacements for like the Polaroid? Or
Did you ask me this like half an hour or like 2 hours ago, or was that someone else?
I asked.
Oh, you asked it. Okay. No, this is just like an analytical function. Like it's a Yukawa type function, like e to the minus r divided by r, which I used for the displacements.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of physical.
Yeah, it was like physical inspired, but it's not the actual, like it doesn't run a simulation or anything like that. Like it was predetermined
For sure.
how far they would move.
Does PGFplots translate everything to TikZ and then later compile it, or does it also skip TikZ of some things?
I think it's, well, TikZ, right? Or not?
Yeah, TikZ.
Yeah. I think it's essentially just translated into TikZ code, or like, yeah, it uses TikZ to draw everything on the screen. Although I'm not 100% sure. I think it's essentially just a big, one big TikZ figure that it generates for you.
Okay.
I think it.
Usually you would put it into like a figure environment, or and then I guess you use a different file and you just include it right in the.
Yeah, so everything I've shown so far, like because we're doing it on Overleaf, you don't see it, but everything I've shown so far, like these kind of, if you use document class standalone, it will generate a PDF figure, which you would then include in your main document using like include graphics or something like that. Via Overleaf, you could also like you can use this like download button to download the PDF if you want, and then get it like that. You don't have to do it like that. You know, if you use document class article, like have a bunch of other code, and then in your document you say begin TikZ picture, end TikZ picture, it will like actually draw that picture in your documents. That also works. And definitely for small documents, small figures, this is a good idea because then you don't have the extra file. The reason I do it like this is when you start getting a long document which has a lot of these figures, every time you make a change, it has to like also redraw this figure, like recompile it essentially. So if you have a bunch of TikZ figures in your documents, it can start taking a lot of time, which is why I got used to just putting it in the external file.
Can you decompile vector graphics? Like each my vector graphic creates a tick that would create exactly the same.
I have no clue. Presumably this exists. Like if you have like an SVG file or something like that, where it is actually stored as just lines and circles. Presumably this works. Maybe there's other tools. This sounds like the thing that Inkscape would be better at this than TikZ, I think.
Yeah, I think you can export it as TikZ code from Inkscape directly.
Okay. All right, cool.
I mean, at least it was possible in one of the earlier versions. I'm not sure if it's still.
Okay, but yeah, I'm not sure, but I've never needed this. If you want to take like an existing figure and edit it, Inkscape is probably better than this than TikZ. You could use it if you're like a diehard TikZ fan, and I don't want to use anything other than TikZ. But no, like Inkscape is probably better at this.
So I guess this brings us to Inkscape. So let's thank Matthew again for his nice.
We'll make a short break of, let's say, 5 minutes while I'll switch with Matthew and reconnect the laptops, so you can go to the toilet or you can take some cookies or some coffee and tea if you want. And then we'll start for 5 minutes.
5 minuten, sorry. Ja, is het oké als ik meedoe met de Inkscape workshop? Dan heb je datum nodig.
Ja, ik ga hem toch hier moeten naast.
Ik wacht bij de hand. Ik wil die twee waren maar die komen van die.
Ja, het is nice.
Was er nog een tegenballen?
Ja, ik heb inderdaad een goede balans. Zelfs ik nooit om te zeggen van, oh, ik heb puntkommas nodig. Dat is zoiets dat je anders...
Ja, inderdaad. Zo afwisselingen, iets doen, en dan een beetje uit en iets doen en zoveel ervan. Dat is wel nice. Ga eens naar de
Als je die dingen wil geven, die een 3D-print en lasercutting. Kan dat niet meer. Ja, maar zo is het met vectorgraphics werken, hè, dus uiteindelijk.
Het zullen 3D vector graphics zijn. Ik weet ook niet hoe verschillend dat is. Like als je met CAD of zo.
Ja, uiteindelijk is dat ook lasercutting vaak 3D, hè? Hoe diep gaat het? Hoe lang zit het? Ja, het is toch?
Ja, maar dat moet je niet
Dat
weten.
wel,
Je
maar
moet wel echt 2D weten, hè?
de input file is genoeg om. Like, de input file moet 2D zijn en dan.
Tot hem dat zelf wel op basis van de grayscale zien.
Ja, ik denk het wel.
Heb je dat met Inkscape? Ik weet dat ik inderdaad op dat moment nog geen ervaring heb met Inkscape of echt nauwelijks.
Ja, dat is vrij software.
Ja, maar ja, vaak teken ik niet. Dus,
Waarom dat je dat maar.
zoveel.
Ik gebruik ook later in zo'n zoveel immersie.
Het kost tijd om er zo schrijven. Het ziet er al voor. Ja, als er nu een team. Als er niet goed uit, een beetje.
Maar hoe zou ik anders die volle animatie ooit hebben gemaakt?
Maar als je het in later niet onmiddellijk goed krijgt, dan zijn ze heel lang bezig. Dat is wel het probleem.
Ja, dat wel.
Maar nu is er ChatGPT om je te helpen.
Ja, maar je weet ook niet altijd wat je bedoelt, hè?
Het zou me niet verbazen als ChatGPT zegt: wat is deze? Ik werk hier niet mee. Wat is deze code uit de jaren 70?
Zoveel documentatie mensen weten.
Ja.
Maar ja, het is nog misschien wel ja. Maar voor u moet het wel PGF's.
Nou, dat je.
Goed, wel. Goed finish. But the computer doesn't go down. Yes. Usually didn't take the. No, maybe. Now we have to take some kind of the library. It's a new installation, so probably from software you have installed, so you can run in the background, so you don't have now.
Yeah, but then now is
Why are you here? I don't do the I'm an investor, right? He can write the basis. Why are you here? I use it.
De kleuren. Is dat scherm eigenlijk gedeeld?
Ja, ja. Dat was toch zo.
En als je klikt op het venster,
altijd een vraagteken waar dat dan teams dingen. Ja.
Ah ja, oké, perfect.
Ik ga met elkaar doen.
Als het inderdaad moet ik dan moet er misschien ondertussen wel ja.
Maar het doel met die data, hè? Burgerlijn, wat statistiek erop, hè? Ja, op bestuur. Ja, natuurlijk. Maar fundamenteel dan is niets. Ik kan niet zeggen wat hier is van een bedrijf, ik kan niet zeggen wat dat voor bedrijf is. Daar moeten we van de economie van kijken. Ik ga wel maar ja, wil geen geld verliezen, maar dit allemaal.
Okay, so I think we can start again. So take the last cookie and
Right, so here is for Inkscape. Participating to read like items in Inkscape. I don't recommend that, but it's just to have like a more interactive experience. So in overly there's like folder for Inkscape, and there should be like a presentation of SVG. You can open that in Inkscape, and then yeah, as I presented, we'll go through it, and you can apply the modifications live to it, and then see what the effects are. So we planned this workshop until 6 o'clock, but it might be the case that we'll go a bit earlier. Okay, if you need to go, then you need to go and have to hold hostage. Yeah, okay. Escape, but did everyone manage to like install it? There were some problems. It might be that your user interface is a bit different. That is because as you work with options and it makes visible, I will try to explain how to enable them. If something is not clear, just raise your hand and try to knock it out. Yeah, okay. I think we can go to the next slide.
so just everyone managed to download from the overhead. So you can go to file and then download source and then you get to it.
Ja, maar dan heb ik een Inkscape op deze PC staan.
So two links that I want to give you at the start. There's this workshop which is kind of based on the introduction manual by Inkscape itself. You can find it on that link. There's it's quite extensive. I won't be able to cover all of it. And then as we will see later, there are also some extensions for Inkscape, adding additional functionality. On their website, they have like a gallery of the various extensions. You can take a look there to see if you can find something interesting or not. But yeah, okay. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the only map that I will show during my workshop. But basically, where does the name vector graphics come from? Matthew already explained briefly. Basically, you're representing all your visual elements as mathematical formulae, and you then can apply some transformations to them. Like, let's say the simple 2D transformations, we do that through in this case, it's a 3x3 transformation matrix. And then it will manipulate the coordinates in a certain way. I'll show it in a moment, but just to like explain it a bit more plainly, I think just like some example of some geometrical figures. There's a square, there's a circle, there's a straight line. There are two curves which are actually Bezier curves, and there's a triangle. So how is this stored? in an SVG file. I'll show you. So I'll just open the SVG file in a text editor. You see some metadata from Inkscape itself. But then as we go at the bottom, you see the elements that you saw before. So here you have the square, and you basically see like some parameters. There's a width, there's a height. So in this case, they're the same because you need to have a square. Then you have the x and the y, which is basically just, I think for the square, it's like the coordinates of the bottom left corner. So based on those those four parameters, the program knows how to draw the square, and then if you want to apply some transformation to it, you apply it to the coordinates. If you want to rescale the graphics from a booklet to, let's say, a huge screen or something like that, it just recalculates the coordinates and then scales properly. So you don't need to worry about pixels and so on. For the circle, officially it's called an ellipse because you have like it's a more general figure because there are two radii that you can choose. But if you pick them the same, you get a circle, and then here the coordinates are for the center points. And just the last one to show, there's a curve 1, which is the first Bezier curve. So basically, what you have the coordinates over here. I think this is the coordinates of the starting point, and these are basically let's say the coordinates of the control points that you saw in Matthew's file. So yeah, that's what it looks like behind the scene. At least for an SVG file. If you export it to a PDF, then it gets transformed into some other format, so some of the information might get lost. Basically, it's the same idea that you have some mathematical representation of your visuals. All right. So back to our vector graphics. Just to illustrate like the transformations, I have here this matrix. I will try to make it a bit larger so that you can see. So to make it larger, you can just click on it. Your default cursor is the selection tool, and then you can draw it by one of these arrows in the corner. And then the tab is probably not yet open for you. Like this. So you click on object typing, you go to the bottom, transform. Then on your right side, that should open like a new window where you have some options. You can go to the last one, to the matrix, and just to like visualize what the meaning is of these different parameters. So there's an explanation there. ENF are for translation, scaling is A and B, rotation is from A to D, and shearing is B and C. You can see the values of this matrix over here. And that if I, let's say I want to increase the sharing, I'll put this to 10 and I click apply, then you see it gets transformed. On the other hand, if I click on the figure here, and if you click twice on it, you will get different arrows. One of the arrows can be used to rotate. Then you see in the matrix, you see the parameters changing. All right. So basically, this is just to show you like where the name vector graphics comes from. These are like the basic 2D transformations that you can apply to it. There are more advanced things that you can do.
Sorry, can you repeat quickly how you get to the transform?
Oh, okay, so here, so at the bottom, at the top menu, you have objects, right? And then at the bottom, you have transform. Okay. You click that, and the tab should open. And then you can click there on matrix. Right, this allows for all the transformations, but here you have them also separate. So if you click on rotate, then you can just choose the angle and basically it. Now, am I going too fast, or is the pace somewhat okay? Because I hope that you can like play with it as I explain. That's the whole point.
So how I won't get it to film, but I'm sure what I'm doing wrong.
Did you?
To press apply.
Ja, nee, maar in its current matrix vooral ook. Like,
Oh,
als het,
apply,
okay, alright.
So when you put in your
Toen ik dat niet deed, dan ging mijn matrix zo gelijk 3000 meter naar rechts.
You're not really going to like clicking values and manually clicking apply. You just most of the time. Okay, just if you want to be very precise with your graphics, you should use things like X, for example. You can work with coordinates. If you want to just eyeball it a bit, then it's fine to use Inkscape. But you can also work by specializing in Inkscape, but it's a bit more cumbersome. All right. Yeah, let's start to draw some things. At your left side, you will see like a vertical bar. It might look a bit different for you, but you see some like pink shapes. These are basically to draw geometrical figures. So let's click the first one, the square. You see that your cursor changed. And then when you click somewhere on the screen and you drag, you see a square appearing or a rectangle. It's away. So that's just like basically one way of drawing geometrical figures. At the top, depending on which tool you select, you will see some additional options appearing. So in the case of the rectangle, there's a width, there's a height. Then you have some rotations that you can apply. If you think the circle, for example, so it's below the square, with here, and you see the bearing, depending on how you drag it, you get an ellipse or a circle. If you want to keep the proportions, so if you want to keep the circle, you can hold Control while clicking and dragging, and then it will remain a circle. Unless you drag it too much in a certain direction, then it will change in ellipse. So if you move the figures, so you can basically select them and press delete. Then you also have you can draw some arbitrary polygons. So for example, when you click on, you see like I think it's a pentagon and a star. Then at the bottom, at the top, you have two options. You can pick like ordinary polygons or like star-shaped objects. Click the pentagon now, and then when you draw it, you will see it appear. And then you can edit it in the same way and then play with it. And if you select star, for example, draws again pentagon. Why? Because of the options that are selected here, the stroke ratio should be increased, for example, and you see star appearing or disappearing when you present it. So far, nothing very advanced. Then you can also
the cheese ball. What? How did you manage the cheese ball? I get a bite.
Okay, the next slide, I can show it. Yeah, because it basically remembers the setting of your last color. So okay, so you have your figure. You click on the select tool and you select your figure. Then, unless you have the preview open, you can click on objects. Go to the second option, fill and stroke. And you will get like a menu to change the color. Then there are two settings, three, let's say, but you can start with the fill. So as the name suggests, it's like the internal color. If I pick something else, you will see it changing internally. The second option is stroke, so that's for the boundary. I'll try to pick something more visible. I'm not sure it's changing. If you go to stroke style, increase the thickness of it. You see it's more visible. Oh yeah, I need to change it here. Right, so you can change the color independent of the filling. You can also the 8 over here is for the alpha, is like more transparency. If you put it all the way to the left, it will become transparent. But in the other direction, it will become more opaque. Right. So did you manage to change it over? Yes. So besides the shapes, you also have curves. And for the first tool that you will use the most is a pen tool. Click it. Again, you will see some options appearing. But for the pen tool, the first simple usage is just like left clicking on it and dragging. And it will allow you to draw straight curves. When you're finished, you press the right mouse button. Goes of filling, because if you enable filling for lines, it will fill them. You can just turn it off, and you will get your line that you draw. Let me remove that. Okay, go again to the pen tool, and this time I will click once. I will move to another position. I will click again and hold the mouse button, and then drag. You see this little circle around my cursor. You will see that you get like a curved line. And then click right mouse button again. Stop it. You get basically a Bezier curve. The same thing that Matthew did. This is just a single curve. But then you can again play with it. I'll show you in a minute. The next thing that's also quite often used is the text tool. So you click on the letter A over here. Then either you can click somewhere on the canvas, just one at a time, and it's a small one, but you can see it. It's still remembering one. Just press some random numbers, random letters. They look a bit funny because they're using the style. The last time, filling, things, right? That's how you get text. So either you can, as I said, you can click just only once on the canvas, and then it's just you can type a line. This is not so handy when you want to write a lot of text, because it will become a really long line. So here, what you can do instead is just click and hold, draw a rectangle, and it will like grab the text. And if I now hold, you will see it starts to fill the figure. I will show you how to change the font size. You can select all the text, or you can use Ctrl-A. Go at the top menu, click on text and fonts, and it will open a new window for you. You can choose a different font. The fonts will depend on what you have available on your system. So it might be different between, let's say, Windows and Linux. At the bottom here, you can change font size. I will put it to 50. Click on apply, and you see the font into the scene. Right? Then, if you go back to the text tool, you can also have some different manipulation of your letters. You basically see here a lot more options. Yeah. So depending on your screen size, this might be hidden. If you click here, it will open an additional window, and then you have some like additional options for like spacing between letters. For the first one, if you keep it increasing it, it's not really visible. It's slowly visible, but you see like the spacing between the selected letters changing. And that way you can, let's say, microscopically change the visuals of your text. So one more thing that I want to show, you already saw the selector tool. There's a node selector tool as well. It's right next to it or below it. And basically all the visuals that you draw on your canvas will consist of nodes. If I click back on the curve, you see the starting point and the end point. If you click them and you draw them, you can play with the curve. Some of you also have handles. You see this circle over here. Depending on how you change it, it will change the control points. You can also click in the middle of your curve and then drag it down. So basically what Matthew was doing with these Messier curves, it's here like very visual, and then you see what you do, you just click and play with it until you're happy with it. Alright. Let me delete this. Okay. Then you also have some the basic tricks like control copy and paste. If you press Control C, and then Control V, you'll copy the figure. There is an alternative. If you press Control D, it will duplicate it, and it will paste the figure directly on the same spot as your original figure. Then you also have cloning. If you press Alt D, it will make a clone. And how is that clone interesting? It will basically copy everything that you do with the original figure. So if I take the original figure, I go back to the nodes select, and if I draw it back, you will see the copy of the clone changing as well. So this allows you to work some bit more efficiently. Any questions about this? I'm working a bit with this. Well, we're already at 6. But yeah, so this is like very basic stuff. The Bezier curves, they take some time to get used to, depending on which curves you want. Below the pen tool, you have like the freehand tool. You click that, then you can just draw lines freely as you want. You get your lines. Yeah.
When you draw freehand, do you have a control over? I mean, when I draw on a computer with a mouse, it tends to get like blurry. Right?
Good question. So actually, you have. I'm still using the freehand tool selected. And you see the options over here. There is a smooth option. If you increase that, I don't know if it will be visible on the figure. I need to maybe draw it. Let me see if I can draw it on the line. Yeah, because now it's at the maximum smoothness. You see, basically just more transform the curve that can go to say 60 or so. And if I draw it, you see it gets smooth. So you can compensate for this. You can also, I think, connect like a drawing tablet to it. If that's easier for you, and then it should work in Inkscape as well. If you can play with the tools. Any other questions? Yeah, so you also have some other tools that you can use. If you go back to the pen tool, so you have this for like swirly lines. And then we will see it automatically starts swirling them as you keep on it. Let's see where there is something for like parallax lines. Then you will keep drawing the lines parallel as in like orthogonal. So when you click first, then the one type it will be orthogonal, then parallel, and so on. And you can make all sorts of interesting things. Let's move further. So I already showed you how you can like change the colors. You can also apply that to letters, as you have seen. Letters also have like a filling and a stroke. If I change the stroke to red, let's say this is the fill. I change it to red. I can change the stroke to let's say green or green. Let's see these stroke a bit. Right. So you can color your object. You can also apply gradients. I think just to show it with the square over here. So you go to fill if you want to apply the gradient to fill, or for the stroke, it's up to you. You can click here. The third option, it's like a linear gradient. You can play with the settings. So we want the gradient transit. You can change the color. So now I'm changing the color on the left side. Right, you can play with it. There's a radial gradient. We have a mesh gradient. It's a bit more complicated to explain how to. Matthew showed his diagrams, which are basically lines with arrows. We can do the same Inkscape. So here I drew a line. And then as you go to stroke style, first of all, you can change the type of line. So now it's a full line. If you pick a dashed line or one of the dash options, it will change accordingly. That will change back to full line. But you also can select markers. So for the markers, we basically have three options. Remember the nodes on one of the first curves that I saw you had a begin node, a end node, and then we should have a bunch of nodes in the middle. But if you want to put a marker on the first node, you can click on the first box over here, select a marker, and it will put it over there. And you have some options. You can translate it, you can change the direction of it, right? If you select the second box, it will put markers on the nodes inside the curve, so not the edges, but take something from you. Now, for example, right, and then if you for the last one, like this, right? So you can put markers on the nodes. If you want to like, if you drew a line and you want additional nodes or additional markers, again, go to the nodes tool. So I think you can like double click it. It will add an additional node that we need to build marker. So you can basically replicate the diagrams from Matthew, which is like dragging your lines and enabling markers. No need for coordinates or something like that. Then we also have something called Boolean operations. Basically, it will allow you to combine different shapes or different paths in some various ways. Important for this is that you have like there's a height parameter. Let's say a z parameter, the depth of your figures. So basically, in this case, the circle is standing above the square. You can change this position by pressing page up or page down. If I press page down now, a few times it will go below the square. I can bring it up again. If you're familiar with other drawing software like Photoshop, for example, you also have like this layer system, which is basically the same. Yeah. So if you click on layer in the top menu, click on layer and objects, it will open a window on your right side. It's showing now a lot of different things. Overlaps that. And here you basically see like the hierarchy things. You can select them. You can here increase or lower their level. You can make them visible or invisible. You can lock them and so on. But okay. Important for these Boolean operations is that the top object will always act on the object below it. So if I select the circle, then I press shift click on the square, so I select them both. Then at the top, I go to path, and let's say I click on the union operation, and it will basically add outlines together, and this will make a new figure. You see the circles of loss and absorbed in the figure. If you press Ctrl Z, it will undo the operation. Just like the reverse of it, the difference. You use the difference, so basically cut it out, and you can play with the options. Another interesting one is the flipping option. Let me put the circle now. Let me overlap it with the text above it. I select the text. I select the circle. And then on objects, I click on object, that's the top menu. I set it to clip. And basically it will only like give the overlap between those two figures. So you see here like the curve of the circle still, and then the rest got removed. You can also apply a mask. Mask will basically just like apply a transparency layer to the object behind. If we show you, set mask. So in this case, because the circle was not transparent, the text remains fully opaque. If I change the circle, some more transparency, so text again, objects, mask. You'll see the text of the transparency of the circle. Something else that's handy is the fact that I put a line over the display, select it, and I go to vision, for example. It will basically put figure part. It seems like a stupid thing, but it's actually quite useful because if you have some complicated figure, then you can use there's a tool for like filling. It's the buckets over here. Then you can fill in the gaps. You can combine all those little fragments into a larger piece and use that complex piece to then cut out unnecessary things. It's a bit too complicated to show it now here. But play with it at home and don't then one of the things that might be useful is if you have some bitmap figure from somewhere else. In this case, I just copied it from Google Images, and you can see it. The edges look a bit rough because it's pixelated. If you select it, then at the top you click on that and scroll to that. Trace bitmap. We'll open a new menu, and we'll give you some options. You have single scan and you have multicolor. Single scan is useful for if you don't care about the color. So if you have just a black and white figure or some you don't really care about the color information, then you can like ignore the colors. And then for detection mode, you have several options depending on what kind of figure that you have. Here I have some kind of drawing actually. So in this case, the brightness cutoff is more interesting. So basically, we'll look at like colors sections. If I click on apply, we'll make a copy of the figure, I mean vectorized. And you see now that the edges are a lot smoother. When you have basically a vectorized figure of it, you can scale them to remain stable.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. If you click again on the figure, you can another option, edge detection, for example. You'll just basically look at where it changes from black to white or from some other color. So this might be more interesting if you have a figure with a lot of lines, for example. But in this case, it's not very useful. If you want to compute the colors, you can click on multi-colors. In this case, I'm showing you black because the scans is set at 8. Scans will basically tell you how much colors will include. If I go lower it to 3, let's say, there's some options that you can use stack until every color will be converted to a different object, let's say, and they will be labeled. For each stack, it stacks them together. I will only remove the background. Smooth will just apply some like Gaussian blur. That's handy. The pixels are maybe too hard. But in this case, it's not really necessary. We click on apply. You get the same thing but with colors and vectorized. So this way you can convert pictures from elsewhere to vector graphics. Quite an easy way eventually. Of course, if you apply this to let's say pictures like actual photos or something like that, it's not going to be efficient. You're not going to get the quality. For like high resolution things, bitmaps are the better choice. But if you don't want to have it like stylized in a certain way, you can use the vectorized function. So export stuff. You can export. it will open another window. Then you have some options on what you want to export. If you want to export the whole document, if you want to only export the selection, here you can choose different export options. So if you want to keep the vector graphics of it, you pick SVG or PDF. Anything else? That's basically it. And then you click on export and you export. You can play here with dimensions and DPI and so on. Then if you want to import stuff, you can just drag them from your file explorer, or if you have like a picture that you copied from somewhere, you can just paste it in Inkscape and it will. That's the way the thing will appear in the first place. I just pasted it in there. You can import PDFs. Then you will get an option for like an internal import or external import. Usually, I think the internal import tries to convert it to, let's say, an Inkscape format. So the text, for example, gets to converted to Inkscape text, and you can modify the text. But it will very much depend on the source, how successful it will be. The safe option is a Jago import or the external import. And then it will basically convert the PDF to some Inkscape shapes, and then you can edit it the way you want. Right, this is clear for everyone. So yeah, you can look a bit at some more advanced options. You see filters and you see extensions. There are a lot of options there actually. But I think for physicists, only a few will be really useful. If you click on extensions and go to text, then you have an option for PGFplots. So you can introduce LaTeX codes. In advanced settings, you can provide additional packages that you want. You can just keep alpha. Right, it's a small, large, you can see. Well, it's alpha, right, in this case. But you can write your mathematical equations using LaTeX. Another useful thing, so materials flexing with this iron lattice and these animations, we can kind of work with the same thing. Here a negative iron and a positive iron. I converted them to paths. So if you pick an object or path, and then you have like the option object to path. It's necessary to apply the path effects. Then you click on path. You go to the bottom. You click on path effects. And then here you have a drop-down menu with various path effects that you can apply. In this case, I want to use the tiling. Right, you get some options. It doesn't look quite the same as Meteor, but you can play with that. I think this option will change how things are mirrored or let's say again now we get something more like Meteor. So the minus plus minus, we have them alternating. We can increase the gap between stuff. You can click here and randomize. And then if you like spam the randomize button, Inkscape supports like scripts, for JavaScript, for Python. You can also make like animations and a bit more tools on this. But I mean, if you want to make like a static lattice, if you want just a feel of a lattice, you can do it very quickly. In Inkscape, all you have to draw the like two circles, give them a color, draw the minus side and the plus side, and you can tile it that way. Maybe something else interesting, let me mount them a bit. If you go to extensions, I forgot to write. Click on extension gallery and you get like a gallery of extensions, and then there's like printing marks. So if you want to like professionally print your figure. You select this extension. Let me make a lot of elements. I have no idea what they actually need, but I guess publisher is needed. So you can apply. Let's either go in here around your body and give yourself the permission. Job recipe. So that part of things. Yeah, so maybe another interesting thing to show you. Let me draw some. Yeah, let me remove this lettuce. Let me draw some another rough star. Page. I'm going to draw a circle, let's say. I will select a control, convert them to path, so object with path. And then there is extension in animating of path, interpolating to paths. Then there are some options. I want to keep 5 interpolation steps. I click apply. You see how it actually gets transformed into other figures. So you can use that to introduce some nice effects. So all the tools that I'm showing you are almost sounds quite basic, but we can combine them all, and with some creativity, you can actually make some quite advanced stuff. So unless there are any questions on why you can do certain things or not, I'm going to the last slide in this section, like the invitations to you guys.
Which one you do? En nog eens merci.
And then we invite you to make some, let's say, things related to me. You can submit them to us on this list. It should be like a graphic store, of course. That's the point of this workshop. You can either do it in TikZ or in Inkscape. And then the winner, or let's say maybe the top 3, let's say, we will print your name into stickers or some other merchandise, and you can hand them out and make room, I guess. But yeah, this is not homework. If you want to gain some experience and play around with things, you can do it through this way. Or just when you need a figure for some article or report, try to do it in Inkscape. I showed you the basic tools. You can go to the beginner's manual to have like a full overview of all the different options. But yeah, it's basically it. Any questions? Or yeah.
How did you start with give me 20 empty force or whatever numbers and files?
So how I got the pages, the slide?
Yeah, just the empty one before.
Okay, yeah. So you basically start with an empty canvas. It has certain dimension. I forgot to show it. If you go to File, with properties, you get a window and you can choose the dimensions of your canvas. In this case, it's set to full HD because it's a representation. But if you want to have your A4, you can select an A4 and so on. And then at the bottom of your toolbar, you have the pages field. And then you can just, there's this button on the left, a new page. That's what we also do. So if you click it a few times, that's page. And if you want to export this as a PDF, it will export it as a multi-page PDF on the condition that you export menu, that you select page, and then you can select your controller page. You can in any case, there's an option to export multi-page for a multi-page, PDF for a multi-page, SVG. Yeah. Then that's it. That's how you get pages. Maybe some useful tools if you want to be a bit more precise to again. When you press shift, you get like a grid that you can use to align things. When you're moving things around, on the top right side, you have like a snapping tool. Then depending on how you move things, they will get snapped together. Be wary of it, because if you're not aware that it's turned on, it can be really annoying when you want to like freely move things. If you click on the rulers, same on the grids, you click on the, for example, the bottom ruler, that's this side over here, and you drag it down, it will draw you a help line. And then you can use this to align stuff to it. If you enable the snapping, it will snap to the line. If you click on the line and you hold shift, then you can rotate it basically. You can also double click it. Double click it to get a menu with the instructions of it. Likewise, if you draw from the left ruler, you draw a vertical line, go a bit closer to the origin, it will draw one from 45 degrees. Yeah. That's in basic things. Any other questions or how-tos? Workshops.
Sorry, yeah, I found how to turn on the grid visually, but I can't find where to snap to the grid. I think I missed that.
So, the top right,
Yeah.
is that like the snapping tool?
Oh, it is there. Oh yeah, okay, perfect. Okay.
Right, and then you should snap.
Yep. All right, thanks.
Maybe it's something else that's useful. If you click on the object. No, where okay, so if you click on object, go down to align and distribute. You'll open a new menu over here. And then you can use this to align this object, in this case, relative to the page. So if I click on this, it will center on the vertical axis. Right? If I click on this, it will center on the horizontal axis. And that way you can move it around the pictures to, if you want to center it, you can use this. You can select multiple objects, apply to them together. Another thing, if you select two objects, all these pieces are selected now, and you press Ctrl-G to group them. So it will become one big object, and then you only have to drag one and grab all those. It can be useful to organize your shapes and so on. The unlimited press Ctrl-G. It will integrate with you. Any other questions on the maps? Right.
Okay, thank you, Jago and Matthew again. All right, so yeah, the workshop is finished. Keep in mind that there are also future activities of the Antwerp Young Minds, so feel free. The registration link for the alumni evening is sent out already, and other activities will follow as well. So